Cyberpunk 2077 players can move saves from Stadia to other platforms. Cyberpunk 2077 players' Stadia saves heroically rescued by CDPR. The developers of Cyberpunk 2077 offer a solution to Google Stadia players regarding cross-progression saves with PC and console. Cyberpunk 2077 players can now move saves from Stadia to other platforms. As a result, Stadia players will not be abandoned if they have been playing Cyberpunk 2077 when Google's cloud gaming service shuts down. The continuation of Night City adventures can now be accessed regardless of the platform. Cyberpunk 2077 Google Stadia saves won't be lost when the service shuts down, as CD Projekt Red now lets players extract saves using Google Takeout. Google shutting down Stadia surprised developers, as they found out at the same time as the public. The frustration of the developers was not the only issue of this recent decision by Google, as players will now have to find ways to continue their games on other platforms, or unfortunately have to purchase those games again and start all over in their progress. In the case of Cyberpunk 2077, the developers have come forth with answers that have eased these concerns. CD Projekt Red will allow Cyberpunk 2077 players to move their Google Stadia files to PC and continue them on other platforms. Google Stadia is shutting down in 2023, with all purchases being refunded and access to the digital library closed. The closure of Google Stadia means that people who did play games on the platform are in fear of losing their progress. The Google Stadia games were an entirely digital experience, so when the service is shut down, then all of the save files will be wiped or made unplayable, as the games they're connected to will no longer function. This was always a fear when investing in a new gaming service, even one backed by the might of Google, as the day can come when all of that time is poured down the drain. Google is offering refunds to players, but depending on what game it is, the time players put in may be lost. However, on the CD Projekt Red support page, the developers of Cyberpunk 2077 explain how a program called Google Takeout is used to move game data off the cloud and onto the user's PC, and it's broken down into a step-by-step process. To summarize, this program allows users to download archived versions of data to be extracted to separate folders. Those files can then be copied and pasted into dedicated paths for Cyberpunk 2077. This method is mostly used for PC players, meaning that a PC version of the game must be purchased first. This method can also be used for Xbox and PlayStation via cross-progression through player GOG accounts, assuming players also have a copy of the game on console and the cross-platform setting is turned on. Cyberpunk 2077 worked well on Google Stadia at launch, especially compared to the console ports. This meant that the Google Stadia version was a viable purchase for many, especially those without a beefy PC that could run the game. Those with Cyberpunk 2077 save files on Google Stadia have an option for keeping their save files, as detailed on the official CD Projekt Red support page for the game, and spotted by The Verge, with players able to use Google Takeout to move their saves. Although Stadia will allow users to take their saved data using Google Takeout, it will be up to developers whether players will be able to implement those saves into the PC version of their games. Thankfully, the Cyberpunk 2077 developers offered a solution, and other developers have also taken the initiative in their own way, such as how Ubisoft is assisting Stadia players with bringing their games to PC. Despite a popular concept, the future of cloud gaming remains uncertain, and while some games work well enough on Game Pass, the mobile streaming service still leaves a lot to be desired. Time will tell if Xbox can pick up the slack so that cloud gaming can bounce back. Cyberpunk 2077 players can use their Google Stadia save files on PC. According to CD Projekt Red's website, the Cyberpunk 2077 saves for Google Stadia can be moved using Google Takeout and placed into the save folder for the PC version of the game. The people who want to continue their save files on consoles can also do so by using their GOG account and the Red launcher. Much like how Google Stadia Ubisoft saves are transferable to PC, the Cyberpunk 2077 saves can be turned into PC saves and then moves elsewhere with a little work. Cyberpunk 2077 is available on Xbox Series X/S, Xbox One, PS5, PS4, PC, and Stadia.